This pool is about 20,000 gallons. Which model should I use?
Well, this pool will use an LM3-24. Remember, the model number indicates the grams per hour production.
Now this looks like the average size pool pad.
Yeah, you've got your pump, your filter, your return line. We actually have more than enough space to install this salt chlorinator cell.
Great, because many pool pads I deal with are much smaller than this.
Yeah, and in those cases, you'll be really glad you're installing a Zodiac system because it needs a lot less space than most other saltwater chlorinators. Let me show you why. The cell is mounted as the last piece of pool equipment on the pool return line. It's mounted level, horizontal, ports down to create a safety loop. There's a specific inlet and outlet. Unlike most other saltwater chlorinators, the LM3 series has an internal flow sensor, which eliminates the need for an external flow switch. So all you need is about 14 inches of space on your pool pad. That's it.
What's the clear bubble on the end for?
That's the power bubble. This lets the homeowner or service person see the chlorine production and if there's scale buildup. Rick is going to put this system in. Of course, he'll make sure the pool pump is off. Next, he'll measure the distance of the cut he has to make in the pipes. You want to make sure there's enough clearance to unscrew the locking ring and remove the cell. There are no height restrictions or requirements in plumbing the cell as long as it's level, ports down, as the last component on the pool return line. The cell has 2-inch ports and comes with 1.5-inch reducers. There's a defined inlet and outlet on the cell. And then he'll determine where to put the cell on the return line and where the power pack will mount on the wall. The power pack has a 3-foot input cable which must be used. If the power pack needs to be installed further away than 3 feet, then it's connected to a junction box and the junction box is wired to the timer or controller. It also has a 6-foot output cable which can be extended to 12 feet. 12 feet is the maximum distance the output cable can be before there's a voltage reduction which would reduce the output of the chlorinator. So the power pack will mount on the wall right about there.
It doesn't take a lot of space, that's for sure.
Yep, the whole system is very compact.
What's the flow reduction on this?
The cell is a full flow cell with approximately 5 gallon per minute flow reduction.
What do you do when you have a system that delivers very high flow rates? Are you going to run into any issues with that?
Well, in that case, the cell can be plumbed on bypass. Bypass plumbing can be used anytime because the cell only needs about 20 gallons per minute to operate. One thing you want to keep in mind, when plumbing the cell on bypass, the control valve must be located on the intake side of the cell or between the intake and discharge side of the cell, but never on the discharge side of the cell.
What if you have a flooded plumbing scenario?
In a flooded plumbing situation, you need to install a control valve on the intake side and a one-way check valve on the discharge side. This way you can remove the cell without having the pool begin to drain.
Is this 220 volts?
Yes, the power pack hardwires to 220 volts. Zodiac also offers a dual voltage unit which is convertible to 110 or 220. There's a microprocessor in the power pack so it remembers the output setting, polarity reversal time, and the superchlorinate function time. And unlike previous models, the LM3 can interface with a variety of controllers. The power pack can either be hung on the wall by the cover or mounted on the wall by the chassis. Once the power pack is mounted, we can start wiring it to the controller. If this was a basic timer, the LM3 would wire to the load side along with the pool pump so that both the pool pump and chlorinator come on and go off together. Always turn the main power off. When using a controller, we hardwire the power pack to the load side of the pool pump relay, like Rick did here. This way the chlorinator will only run when the pool pump is on.
Are there other ways to wire the LM3 to a controller?
Yes, in pool spa combos, the LM3 can be wired to the load side of an auxiliary relay, which is powered from the pool pump relay. This allows staggered run times of the chlorinator. But wiring to the pool pump relay is the preferred method. The LM3 interfaces with the Pentair IntelliTouch, the Jandy Aqualink K and L models, and the Polaris EOS controller. If you're using any other type of controller, then it will only turn the LM3 on and off. You would wire the LM3 series to the load side of the pool pump relay so the chlorinator comes on and off with the pool pump. Next, follow the instructions on page 10 and 11 in the manual and connect the 4-strand communication wire to the LM3. The other end of the 4-strand wire will connect to the controller per their instructions. Once that connection is made, power up the controller and turn on the pool pump relay. To interface the two units, follow the instructions on pages 16 and 17. Press and hold the hidden polarity switch for 20 seconds. The LM3 will begin reversing polarity every 5 seconds during that time. After 20 seconds, the superchlorinate light will begin to flash. Simply release the polarity switch when the flash code matches the type of controller being used. The controller is now operating the power pack. The buttons on the LM3 power pack won't function, but the lights will continue to operate. The LM3 output setting, run time, and superchlorinate function will be adjusted at the remote of the touchpad.
This really is an easy installation.
The Zodiac system is one of the easiest systems to install, and it's tested and approved to UL 1081 safety standards. But you still want to make sure it's installed properly, so read through the manual and make sure to tell your installers to give the manual to the homeowner so they can understand how to operate the LM3.
That'll help reduce callbacks. What if the chlorinator still doesn't work?
Then the PC board would need to be replaced. Page 16 and 17 explain this step by step. Turn off the power, twist the 4 black anchors a quarter turn counterclockwise to allow the board to be removed. Remove the 3 triac screws from the 3 triac tabs. Then simply fold the damaged board forward. Mount the new PC board onto the anchors and tighten down the triac tabs.
What are those triac tabs for?
They pull heat away from the board. You'll notice that the third one has an insulated screw and an insulating pad. Those must be used on that tab, and all 3 screws must be tight before turning on the chlorinator or the board will overheat. Next, change the wire from the old board to the new board one at a time. Attach the ground wire, reconnect the touchpad, and you're done.
This is simple. Should it ever happen, I know my guys can handle this.